What is it you believe about original sin?
Well, I think it's a obviously don't think it's true, but even if it were true, I would think it's ridiculous. Like the whole setup is completely ridiculous. That an all powerful, all knowing God makes a garden, and he has to communicate the most profound ideas about reality, not through books or videos or um, sort of multimedia presentations or direct neural implants. No, he chooses to communicate ideas about knowledge and wisdom through fruit. This is his chosen way of doing it. This is, first of all, where it starts to become ridiculous. So he plants trees to contain this important information, not libraries, trees with fruit. Okay. Then he brings his creations in, Dirt Man and Rib Woman, puts them in the garden. Then he lets in a serpent, knowing exactly what the serpent's going to do. God goes off for a bit while the next bit of the play carries on. And the serpent goes over and persuades Dirt Man and Rib Woman, in fact, Rib Woman, to eat the fruit. She gets hubby to do it. And then God comes back. He's very cross. Even though he knew exactly how this was going to turn out, he's still somehow very cross. Even though Dirt Man and Rib Woman hadn't eaten of the fruit yet, so they didn't realize that obeying God's commands was good and disobeying them was bad because they had no knowledge of good and evil, he decides to punish them. But he doesn't just punish them, he punishes everyone else who's ever going to live afterwards, all the animals who are going to meet violent deaths, and every human that's ever going to live afterwards. This is a completely ridiculous story. Why would anyone not
Okay,
think this is total lunacy?
so if you created a robot, right? The robots you created, you told it what it could touch, what it couldn't touch in your house, right? If you created that robot and that robot listening to you, knowing what you told it, knowing that you told it if it touches that thing that there will be a problem, could it be mad at you when you scolded it after
Well,
it touched what you
the,
told
the
it not to
first thing
touch?
the first thing is it would call into question my competence as a robot designer, wouldn't I? Because if I built a robot
No,
that
no.
then
If
didn't
you want, if you
work
want
properly,
your, if you want it to be completely autonomous, you want it to be able to do and make
yeah,
choices on its own. You
yeah.
want it to be able to live a life that's happy and free.
Mhm.
You would
So
let it make choices on its own.
I would code my robot so that it was completely autonomous, could live a happy and free life, but was disinclined to go against my instructions.
But so you want to be completely controlled.
No, did
You
you hear what
want
I
to be
said?
completely controlled.
Not completely controlled, to have complete free will and not be
You
inclined to
said you would
sin.
make it to where it can't go against your
I,
will.
I, I said that it would be disinclined to do those things. So
Yeah.
we have instincts. Like, for example, do you think that people, when they get to heaven, have free will?
When you get to heaven, you're going to be
Yeah.
doing exactly what is
Do,
he
do,
already set for us
do,
to do.
do, do people in
That's a
heaven
yes or
have
no.
do people in heaven have free will?
What would you be choosing? You
Do
already
people do
chose.
pe-
You
do
already
people?
chose
I'm
life.
asking you a question about heaven. Do people in heaven have free will?
In heaven, we have all the pleasures that we can even think about.
Right. I'm
Is that
looking
a
for.
yes
We
or
I'm
have
no?
all.
looking.
We have.
Really, would love a yes or no.
It's.
Do people in heaven have
But that's
free
not a
will?
yes or no question.
It
That's
It
not a yes or
is.
no
literally is.
question.
Do
It's
you,
really
are
not.
you, did you? Those are yes or no
In
questions. It's
no.
literally a
In
quotient.
heaven,
Do people in heaven
Do
have
people in
free
heaven
will?
have free will? Yes, they have free will, or no, they don't have free will. Which is it?
there's no evil to choose.
That's not. I'm not asking about evil yet. I'm just asking you if
No, but
people in
there's
heaven
no
have free
in
will.
heaven. There's no evil to choose. So what free
Do
will?
Can
we're not going to move on
does
until
someone
you
have
answer
the
this
free will
question.
to, if John and I are in heaven, do I have the free will to punch him in the nose if I wanted to? Yes or
That
no?
would be evil. If I
Okay.
So,
want to, it would be
so
evil.
there's no,
Okay.
so
In
there's no
heaven,
one
there
doing
is no
evil
evil.
in heaven.
Before
So
we
there's
get
no,
to the
hold on.
evil,
All you said is
You're
there's
not.
no one. You said there's no evil in heaven, which is basically saying there's no evil act. So I asked if I would have the free will to punch John in the nose, and you said you won't do that because there's no evil in heaven. The question is, are people not doing evil acts because they lack free will? Or do they have free will and they're choosing not to do free acts? Which is it? They have free will or they don't have free will? Please answer the question.
It's not that simple in heaven.
To clarify this, the reason I asked is, if you think that people get to heaven and they just become sort of mindless zombies, unable to
Not
be
mindless
in,
zombies. You
be
do
in
the will of
charge
your
of their
father.
right.
We love God.
So then you grant that it's possible for God to engineer an environment where his creations have free will, they can be autonomous, they can do what they want, they can make decisions about how they live, but they're not inclined towards what you call evil, right? You said he can do that, correct?
We weren't inclined toward evil. We
Right.
didn't know evil
Right.
until we chose.
If he can create those conditions in heaven, why not just create them here on earth, and no one would have to get nailed to anything?
They were created here. We chose to go against it.
No,
He told us not to touch it.
I don't. No, they weren't created here because, according to you, Adam and
Yeah.
Eve sinned.
He told us not to touch it. We
So
chose
let's do this one more time, because I don't think we're quite connecting. So you have said that God is powerful enough to create an environment in heaven where his creations have free will. They can act however they like, but there's no evil there, so they're not inclined to do naughty things. And you're saying that's what he did on earth. And then you're saying, but they did naughty things. So obviously not what he did on earth, is it?
because Eve got deceived. Adam sinned for her.
Right. So
Is
Eve got deceived.
in heaven, even that the what do you call it? The temptation to do the evil thing is not there.
Right. So why didn't he just create those conditions on earth right at the beginning, and all of this silly nonsense could have been avoided?
First.
Well, he clearly didn't.
He did at first.
He clearly didn't, because
He
Eve
did at first.
got deceived, and then all the fruit and all the fruit salad problems happened.
We didn't have sin at first.
It was all very bad, wasn't it?
We didn't have sin at first.
God knew that was going to happen, and rather than just create the conditions on earth like you're suggesting they are in heaven, where everyone is kumbaya and everything's hunky-dory and everyone's free and no one gets deceived and no one sins, he didn't want that. He wanted a situation where his creations were vulnerable to being deceived by the serpent that he allowed in there, and we're supposed to take that as being somehow our fault. Are you making that argument with a straight face?
Yes.
Did you say there was no temptation on earth?
There was no temptation at first.
Okay. Did the serpent tempt Eve?
He did that after.
Okay, so there was no temptation on earth.
The first thing.
Hold on. Let me finish. Fact one, there was no temptation on earth. Fact two, the serpent tempted Eve. How do you reconcile that contradiction?
There was no sin at first. It's not a contradiction.
That wasn't a question.
Satan.
You said there's no temptation on earth, and also you said the serpent tempted Eve. That is a direct contradiction. How do you reconcile that?
Satan came and proposed to her that she could be like God. Before that point, there was no temptation, because she did not want that. She knew that she was not supposed to touch it.
What does it mean to tempt?
When you offer somebody something, that
is
piques their
tempting
interest
to them, right?
That piques their interest.
Right.
She wasn't interested in it until he brought it to her attention. There was no temptation.
Are you deliberately trying to come on? You seem like a smart enough guy to get the contradiction of A, there's no temptation, and B, the serpent tempted.
You just don't want to see. You don't want to see where the problem started. You're trying to say, "Oh God."
This is a ludicrous story. You're proposing that the all-powerful creator of the universe had no idea that any of this was going to happen. He put the tree there, he put the serpent there, he put his creation there. Being all-knowing, he knew exactly how this was going to pan out. He had the option to configure it differently so that all these creatures all had free will, but were not inclined to tempt each other, were not inclined to fall into sin. We know that there are beings on the earth that have free will, but are not inclined to do certain things. Human beings have free will, but we don't have an instinct to eat our own children, which is why we don't do it. God could have engineered us to have complete free will, but not be inclined to sin, which is why I said if I built a robot, I would configure it to have its own autonomy, but to have certain disinclinations, to be disinclined to go against my will, even whilst enjoying its own. You seem to be suggesting that that's an engineering feat beyond God's ability.
No, what I'm telling you is he doesn't want robots.
He doesn't
He
want
wants us
robots.
to be free.
Right,
He
but
wants
we've already established that we can be free and disinclined to sin because that's what you said heaven is like. So are you beginning to realize quite how ridiculous this scenario actually sounds?
no, I believe you're retarded. He wants us to choose.
That's not an argument. I believe you're retarded is just a thing that people say when they actually don't have an argument. So are you actually going to make one? Are you going to actually square this circle that you seem to be flailing around, where you're proposing an all powerful God who comes across as being a complete bumbling idiot?
If you stop muting me and stop interrupting me when I'm talking,
Stop crying and make your argument.
I'm not crying at all, pimp.
Make your argument. Explain this.
Okay. So you have your people you made in the garden. You have the snake who just fell and you cast down. He walks up to the people that you created and tells them, taste this, it's good for you to eat. They fall into
We
temptation.
all
The
know the
first
story.
temptation
No,
ever.
hang on a second. We don't need you to recapitulate the story. I've asked you to explain why an all knowing, all powerful God would create a scenario where this thing happened.
Because he wanted us to have life and life abundantly. He had the plan of salvation set.
No, that's mindless preaching. We don't need mindless preaching. I want you to answer the question. Why did he engineer a scenario where the fall happened? Is basically his fault. He set it up. Why did he do it?
I'm telling you why he did it. You're talking about his mindless preaching. It's what he wrote. It's what he told us. He did it because he had his plan of salvation set from the beginning of time. He knew what was going to happen. He
Exactly.
set up everything ahead of time to make sure that we had a way out.
Right.
Sir,
So this was his plan, as you say, from the start of time, from before time. This was the scenario he designed. This was what he had in mind. This ridiculous fall, talking snakes, important information encoded in fruit. And you think that we're the people with strange ideas?
yes.
I don't really know what to
Believe
say.
a simple truth.
Well, it's not a simple truth. It's a complete
It is a
whack
simple
job
truth.
story. It's remarkable that anyone outside of a mental institution would take this seriously. I mean, you're a grown adult. Grow up. Snakes
Yeah.
don't talk. Information is not encoded in fruit. This is nonsense. Anything else?
Oh, no, not that one.
I mean, I'm not really sure how else to help you. I'm
Oh, no,
appealing
you
to
can't help me. You're lost, buddy.
I'm appealing to the small shreds of rationality that might be buried deep inside your mind somewhere, clawing to get out from underneath this pile of complete nonsense that
Oh, no, I
somehow
believe the truth.
has billions of people
I walk
fooled
in the light.
into
The people that
thinking this
believe
is
it,
true.